So rather than looking at why bigger is better, we're now going to look at small firms and what problems they may face, but why there are so many small firms that actually exist. So small firms also called small medium enterprises, and here we have some kind of what are we kind of thinking about in terms of small firms. It's easier to look at kind of the number of employees. This is what the EU defines as small firms. So small firms can actually be a business that employ fewer than 50 employees. So I wouldn't necessarily consider that too small, but fewer than 50 employees would be termed small. Smaller, fewer than 10 is actually micro, and then medium, less than 250 employees employed. So most of the businesses that we're looking at when we're actually looking at small businesses and Welsh Board are the more micro businesses. Okay, so why are they important? Well, they do represent the bulk of all businesses in the EU, and they provide a huge amount of jobs. And it's often small businesses and new startups that are very innovative and come out with new inventions and new ideas. Because they're small, they can be quite flexible and creative. And it also helps increase competition in the market. So we tend to think of competition as a good thing because it increases the quality, because firms have to get better, and it should push the price down, so that's better for consumers because they can afford more of it, or certain consumers can afford it, full stop. So why do they face problems? Well, capital problems. Because they're small, they're going to find it more difficult to get funding from banks and investors. We know that from, one of the benefits of economies of scale was financial. Next one coming out, small economies of scale. They're not going to get those purchasing economies of scale, not going to benefit from managerial or specialist economies of scale. They're also going to have smaller marketing budgets as well. They don't have as much money flowing around their business, so they're going to find it harder to promote themselves. Larger competitors, if they're competing in the same market as a larger competitor, they're not going to be able to have maybe as cheap prices because they don't benefit from economies of scale or promote themselves or build up a brand as easily as a larger business with a large marketing budget. Employees, it might be hard to attract talented people because there's less they can offer in terms of large wages or maybe fringe benefits like an employee gym or those types of things. Small businesses aren't going to be able to afford that. And there may be more human resource problems, such as offering flexible working patterns is easy if you're a very large business and you've got lots of people there, but if there's only a few people employed, it's going to be much more difficult, and it's going to be really difficult if there's maternity leave as well. So all of those problems, lots of problems, but why do small businesses continue to survive? Well, they offer a very personal service. They get to know their customers very well because there's fewer of them, and sometimes people are prepared to pay a much higher price for that privilege, and they get to deal with the owner of the business as well, and they like that. Sometimes small businesses survive because the owner is content with making that level of money, so they might not make very much profit, they might not make any profit, but that is a personal decision by the owner to lead that lifestyle, and that's why they continue to survive. They may also have a bit of a monopoly in their market, so I'm thinking of like local shops, smaller shops, on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. It's never the big supermarkets that are open, but when you've forgotten one key ingredient for your Christmas dinner, you think, where's going to be open? And it's usually a little local shop, and you are prepared to pay a lot more because they're open later at night, or they're open and they can give you the product that you need. They often offer flexibility and efficiency because they're smaller. So, for example, they might, if you want a specific product, they might break into a packet of whatever the product is just to kind of please you as the customer. Whereas if you go to Sainsbury's or Asda, they're very unlikely to do that. And also, there might be low barriers to entry. So if you want to learn more about this, have a look at the economics presentation. But your setup cost may be very low to set up, you know, a kind of one-man band or one-woman band. So sole traders might find it quite straightforward. Well, will find it quite straightforward to set up. Whereas if you're trying to set up as a big business, you're going to find it a bit more difficult. So here's a nice case study about a couple who live in Woodstock, which is a very nice town I've been to. It's got Blenheim Palace is near there. It's a very nice day out if you're ever in the area. But this is the only fish and chip shop in the area. And they've run the business, they've enjoyed running it. They don't make very much profits, but they find it acceptable because they like their lifestyle, and they get lots of custom from local people, so very loyal, prepared to pay maybe a little bit more than they would be from, you know, a kind of a bigger fish and chip shop, maybe in Oxford town centre. They did consider expanding at some point, and they wanted to run a mobile fish and chip shop, but the local bank would only lend them money if they put up their own home as security, and they decided that this wasn't something they wanted to do. So, you know, finance can really prevent these firms from expanding. But lots and lots of hints there about why the business has survived for so long. It really seems, you know, only fish and chip shop, they're obviously a monopoly there. They're willing to accept lower profits, whereas a big business, a big franchise wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't get a McDonald's starting up in Woodstock because you wouldn't get the profit. You get lots of custom from locals who really enjoy the service, so they're very loyal, you know, so lots to take out of that kind of question. Okay, so problems that they face and why they continue to survive. It's usually a consider the view question, so you need the two sides to this.